I am excited to tell you what's going on. In BioWild Psychology, bio meaning our biology, wild meaning that we were designed for the wilderness. We're more a part of nature than separate from it, and our very biology longs not to be acting wild, but to be taking our rightful place in connection with everything that is wild still. As a matter of fact, I tell everyone, if you see a healthy 2 or 3-year-old, they're pretty wild little human beings. They're happy, they're healthy, they're not, you never see a stressed out 2-year-old. And at one point, believe it or not, you were that way too. And so BioWild Psychology is all about getting back that person you came into this world being and expressing it in an adult type of manner. And so today I'm going to show you the 4 basic pillars of BioWild Psychology. I'm boiling it all down and making it as simple as I possibly can. So giving you the very, very basic ideas of what BioWild Psychology is about. And it's the 4 R's. The first one is regulation. Now, you hear a lot of people talking about nervous system regulation, and quite honestly, as an old, almost lifelong therapist, it's hard for me to stomach sometimes because most of these people are using it synonymous with feelings, synonymous with how they think that day. It's become kind of a buzz phrase or a buzzword. It's become faddish and in style. And so you got a lot of people using the phrase but not knowing even half of what it means. We have, as you might know, a nervous system. That nervous system is hardwired into our biology, and it regulates our mood and how every bodily organ and system is doing. And most of us have been taught, me included, this is how I was trained in graduate school, that thoughts create feelings. It's the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy. And yes, they do affect feelings. But what we're finding in quantum biology is that they don't create them. And that most of BioWild Psychology and most of nervous system regulation cannot start here. It's got to start viscerally or in your body. And so most of what I teach is regulation. Short little things you can do with your body, little strategies that only take a minute to the tops 3 or 4 minutes, depending on how much you need to let go of, in order to kind of start releasing emotion and finding a way to recalibrate and recenter, reground. And how to use nature and the earth and water and fire and wind to do that. So the first R is regulation. And I believe that if you want to be a responsible, happy adult, you've got to have at least 5 strategies that you know work for you and work consistently even during your worst days. Now, please don't get me wrong. Even the most regulated person on earth is going to have a bad day or difficult emotions. That's part of being human. I'm not saying, as I think many people out there are saying, anytime you feel bad, you are doing something wrong and need to change what you're doing, or it's a sign that you're dysregulated. No, especially with grief and with trauma, that's not it at all. And I would encourage you not to try to escape that, because there are many hard-won lessons that can be learned only through those difficult times and overcoming them. That's how we get strong. But it is the little annoyances and nagging problems in life can dysregulate you. And this is when you should have some go-to strategies that help release and recalibrate and recenter you during those times so that you can be a happy, healthy person and not at the whim of the circumstance. You're not just thrown by whatever's happening to you that day. So that's the first one, regulation. The second one is rhythm. We live in a totally artificial environment. I'm under these beautiful, actually, canned lights right now. They're not fluorescents, but anytime I turn them on, they're exactly at the same wattage and exactly in the same place. Right now, my house is at a very comfortable, very stable 72 degrees. Actually, I think it's 70 because I run a bit hot. And it's always the same. I don't have animals running around here. Thankfully, I don't have moss growing up over my couch. My windows are shut, so I don't have wind blowing through. Sometimes sun comes through, and I say sometimes because I live in Portland, Oregon. Doesn't happen very often around here, but I'm out of the elements. And so I am totally disconnected from all the rhythms, or most of them, the rhythms of life, the seasons. All of life has rhythm, but we have become so comfortable, separated from life, the natural living world, that we've gotten we're a couple generations now out of rhythm, separated from rhythm, to the point that we think we are owed a comfortable lifestyle, so comfortable that we better have it exactly the temperature we want it. It better be clean, it better be dry. We better have not only food, but food we like and we think is tasty. And then we also want entertainment on top of all of that. We become so spoiled with our artificial lifestyle that I call it synthetic living syndrome, and I'm sure you've seen me post a lot about that. We need to get back to the way our ancestors were. I think we need to get back into what's called circadian rhythm. We need to start the day with the sun as it comes up and look off into the horizon and breathe and watch that sun come up. Or if you live in Portland, watch the gray come up. And then also we need to watch the sun go down and be thankful for that day. And as the day turns to night, we need to let darkness fall on anything that happened during the day. We need to just kind of let it fade to black and let it go as well, and find our own stillness here inside. We need to find any kind of seasonal rhythm too. You know, I lived in Kansas for 34 years, and boy, those farmers, man, even though they spent some time, not nearly enough, some time indoors, they were out working in the seasons. They knew when it was time to plow and time to plant and time to harvest. We've got none of those rhythms. And so it's really important we find our rhythm again. And if you're in a relationship, one of the best things you can do is find rhythm with your partner or spouse. Start the day with him or her. End the day lovingly with him or her. Have a date a week. And by date, I mean 1 hour where your phones are down. You're not talking about what you hate about each other or the kids or what you hate about work or the finances. You're just having fun. That's a beautiful rhythm that I've seen very powerful in relationships. So the second one is rhythm. Third one is my favorite, and just a couple weeks ago, AI told me all of the 4 pillars as you grow will collapse into this one. and I call it reverence. Reverence is a deep appreciation and love for life as it is, warts and all. And my whole life changed when I traded fighting cancer for loving life. Many of you have probably heard me say that. And when I decided to quit fighting cancer in 2013 and start loving life, my life was anything but lovable on paper. I had lost hundreds of thousands of dollars to out-of-pocket medical bills. They told me at that time I only had 6 months to a year to live. I was down to 152 pounds. I had leukemia and lymphoma. I had just 2.5, 3 years previously lost my first wife to cancer 15 days before our 30th anniversary. I had almost died a year before from viral meningitis. I was on tough times. But I found that if I collapsed time, I called it striking myself stupid. If I let go of the future and let go of the past and collapsed time, if I let go of the past, I didn't have anything to grieve or feel bad about. If I let go of the future, I didn't have anything to be scared or worry about. And just collapsed time. And then played a game I called first and last. I would, even drinking a cup of coffee, maybe you've heard me give this, but it was a powerful experience for me. I was drinking a cup of coffee and I played first and last. What if this was my first cup of coffee? How would I be drinking it differently? If I'd never tasted coffee before, what would this be like? And I thought I'd approach it much more thoughtfully. I'd be much more curious. I'd take my time, I'd smell it, I'd taste it, I'd feel it. What if this was my last cup of coffee ever, and I knew it was the last time on earth I got a cup of coffee? I'd take my time, I'd savor it. I'd think of all the times I'd sat with friends over a cup of coffee, and I'd enjoy it. So I found that if I collapsed time and just was here, and I found that it took me about 30 seconds, but within about a minute, everything in my physical state started to change. I'd start to relax. I'd start to feel almost warm. I'd start to enjoy things. I would be in the present moment, and it's the only moment you have any power. And I would start to realize how precious one cup of coffee and all of life and all of our experiences, be they good or bad, can be. And I, at that time, could only, and still almost to this day, can only hold on to it about 5 minutes, and then it somewhat fades. But I would set my alarm for random times during the day, and whenever that went off, whatever I do, whatever I was doing, I would practice that. And I found it works no matter what you're doing. Even something as tedious as washing the dishes. One day the alarm went off. It was time for me to do a first and last, collapse the moment, collapse time. I found I could even savor washing the dishes. Sudsy, warm water felt good, knowing that I couldn't accomplish the big things in life. I couldn't accomplish getting better that day. I still might die. I couldn't accomplish saving my wife, but I could wash this doggone dish and I could make it sparkling clean, even though I couldn't make my life sparkling clean. My life was still a mess. I could take care of a messy dish. As silly as that sounds, that made me love life. And the more you practice it, the more it sinks its roots deeply into your heart and mind, and you start loving life without even trying. And that's reverence. Reverence is the ability to appreciate how precious even the mundane moments of life are. Then the last R, we have totally forgotten as well. It's recharge. We are bioelectric, bioenergetic beings living on a big, beautiful battery. We are much more like cell phones than we'd ever guess. And everybody I know plugs their cell phone in at night because they want it to work efficiently the next day. But no one I know, or at least very, very few, plug themselves into the planet routinely. And yet, we expect ourselves not only to work efficiently, but extremely effectively, if not perfectly, on a very low battery, even red line or dead batteries. I think I'd been working on a dead battery for years before I ever contracted cancer, but I was just stubborn and ambitious enough to keep pushing on a dead battery until I almost was dead myself. So the 4 R's, once again, are regulation, rhythm, reverence, and recharge.